What is up? Coming to you live from the Cat House in Montebello, California. It's Dre's Geek Philosophy, the Monday edition, the April 6th edition, episode 168. It's the aftermath of the weirdest Wrestlemania in history. It's the aftermath of my wife and I watching that weird-ass Netflix show. And honestly, we didn't even finish it. I guess we're just going to start right off with that. We're going to hit the ground running. So, this Tiger King thing. My wife and I were already kind of slightly annoyed because, obviously, the name of our son is Tiger. And his middle name is Rey, R-E-Y, which is Spanish for king. So our son's name is Tiger King. You know, when we thought of this months ago, we never dreamed there would possibly be such a ridiculous thing like Joe Exotic, who calls himself the Tiger King. Needlessly, my wife and I are horrified of this. I made the joke to my friend D-Look, well, I guess I'm going to call my son Ty for the next couple of decades till this Tiger King thing blows over. But no, well, we're going to still keep calling him Tiger. I'm sure people are not going to put it together. I mean, I can imagine by the time our little one goes to school, 5-6 years from now, no one's going to give a shit about Joe Exotic. No. It's not going to be a thing. I'm sure my friends will be sure to bring it up all the time. I'm sure a Jai or a Lamar or a D-Log will be like, hey, where's the little Tiger King? I'm sure they will be the ones. They are elephants. They never forget, and then they're not ones to let go of a bone of a joke. They're like dogs. Like they're not going to let go of an easy joke or a mean joke like that or however. But the wife and I, we watched the show. My wife threw it on yesterday. And she was kind of half watching because if you want to get yourself, now that it's become required to get yourself one of these lovely masks, my wife is making them. And she just has put it up on her Etsy. Every one that she sells, she's making another one and donating it to a local healthcare facility. So, hey, get your masks. Etsy.com/shop/Le Meow Club. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link underneath. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud or any of your favorite podcast applications, there's a link in the show description. If you want to go get yourself one of those masks, it's become kind of required now to wear those lovely masks. Since now that we're in like week 5 of the quarantine, it seems interminable. Like we've been on kind of a baby quarantine for the last 3 months, so it doesn't feel too different for us in that regard. But beyond that, if you need a mask, my wife is making them. I have to grab the tiger, and then she's sewing and cutting and making masks. So if you want to protect yourself from this crazy coronavirus, you can get the mask from my wife. Right now, she's busy taking care of the little one off to my right on your left. So, continue on this Tiger King thing. So I had already heard a lot about this ridiculous show. I'd seen a lot of memes. I already had a lot of the proverbial spoilers, so to speak, especially in regards to the secondary character, the Carol Baskin, the big tiger rescue. But honestly, the first thing that I realized after getting through about 5 of these episodes, all of these people who own these zoos, tiger zoos, exotic animal zoos, they're all evil. There is just something wrong with each of them. No matter, they're all good guys. They're all the heroes of their own story. But aside from that, no, they're all bad people. I was sending jokes to my cohorts, Jai and Lamar, as I was watching this show. I was coming up with a Jet Foxworthy-esque kind of jokes. Like, if you want to get yourself a Southern Five as a sex slave, get yourself a tiger zoo. If you want to hire a bunch of felons, get them hooked on meth and have them work for you for $100 a week, get yourself a tiger zoo. If you want a bunch of white teenagers to work for you for free, get yourself a tiger zoo. White people really love tigers. They love these exotic. I mean, primarily from what I've noticed, they really love cubs. I guess that's where old Joe Exotic made most of his money, is from the tiger cubs. He was having all tigers breed and crank out those little cubs, and then I guess he'd sell them off to who knows who and whatnot. Well, once those cubs get too big and they get out of control, he's just selling them off. Or I guess technically that's illegal from my understanding. This is gonna be another one of those episodes where the comment section is not working today. I think the comment section is not working today, so it's gonna be one of those where I'm gonna be flying without any comments. There's multiple people watching, and then I see the likes, but I guess maybe there's no comments today. My wife is testing out to see if comments show up. Testes 1, 2, 3. There's a comment there. I guess maybe people who are watching right now, maybe they don't want to comment on Tiger King yet. Have you watched it? Have you not? Is this spoilers? I hope it's not spoilers for you, because I highly recommend. Okay, oh, there you go. Kiat fan is testing as well. All right, just want to make sure. Maybe this Tiger King topic is people don't want to talk about it. Because it's just a disturbing. Honestly, we tapped out halfway through episode 5.
People love and hate it.
Yeah, it's just this. I was saying that I feel like this show makes people feel better about themselves. Like, oh wow, at least I'm not a crazy tiger person. Where one of I guess the main guy, Joe Exotic, was his ass is tossed in jail. We didn't even get far enough to find out the reason, but I found out later. I guess he hired a hitman to try to kill that Carol lady because they hate each other.
Oh,
and it's highly insinuated in the show that Carol lady had her husband killed. Her husband was missing for 5 years. They don't know why. They track all the clues. It doesn't make any sense. Why would this millionaire suddenly just disappear and leave all his money to this crazy tiger lady, where she turns around and takes all this, and then she...
The will was altered, though.
Yeah, the will was altered. That's the episode you were really paying attention to. The will was altered, where it's like, oh, whether he dies or disappears, or he's missing. And once those 5 years went up, boom, she took control of everything.
5 years and 1 day later.
Yeah, she took over everything, and then she didn't report the missing person for like several days, which is incredibly suspicious.
She said the next day.
Huh?
Yeah, the next day.
She
asked the lady if she should report it the next day.
The next day.
Yeah.
I know, but
she had plenty of time.
She had plenty of time to do whatever, to set up the van. Or it seemed incredibly suspect. And I think that's why the internet the court of the internet has tried her.
They reopened.
Oh yeah, the police have reopened the case, but as far as the court of public opinion or the court of the internet, they've already decided that she is guilty as sin. Because I guess, and as I forgot who was telling me, my coworker at work, Richard, was telling me the show actually gets worse and crazier, because you find out that crazy old Joe's Exotic is he gets everyone who works for him hooked on meth.
Oh boy!
And that's why both of his husbands his husbands only married him for meth. Apparently, you find this great revelation that both those gay husbands, they straight as arrows. They're banging the receptionists or whatever. They're banging other women who work there. And they're only sleeping with old Joe Exotic so they can get their meth on.
Oh my God.
Apparently we would have found that out in episode 6 or 7 if we got that far.
I had no idea, but it totally makes
the show just keeps getting more. I have actually warned poor Jai T. Polidor to not watch the show. I told him, like, you know what, dude, just don't watch it. Just save yourself the trouble.
Middle America crazy, kid.
It's crazy why I think when we kept saying, remember we looked at each other and we said, white people shit. That's what a lot of this is. It's white. It's WPS. White people shit. It's just that's what this whole show is. It's insane. And the other characters, like this other cult leader. I don't know if you caught this other cult leader. This dude, I forget. He changed his name to some sort of weird freaking god or whatever. He gave himself some sort of god name, but he says, "Oh no, I am the Earth's friend." That's what he says the definition of his name is. But everyone's like, "Oh no, if you look up that word in whatever language he changed his first name to, it means God."
Okay.
He gets all these young ladies to sign up to be volunteers. They come live on his freaking commune. And eventually, if you want to get promoted, you have to sleep with him.
Oh gosh.
And he forces them to all change their names, so he gives them all new names.
Wow.
To like, oh no, you have to lose your name, and then it's all. And there was like cult experts going, oh yeah, that's the first thing you do if you want to brainwash someone. You want to force them to change their life. You just make them change their name. You change everything of who they are, and you kind of like. And they're forced to work, 16, 20-hour days, 7 days a week on this tiger. He was working in some sort of tiger farm somewhere else, and he was friends with Joe Exotic.
Of course.
Of course, it's a whole network of friggin' all these exotic tiger people. It's insane just watching the show. I think that you described it's a train wreck that you don't want to keep watching. It's like if you're stuck watching this train wreck.
No.
You're like, okay, I'm tired of watching these rednecks be like weird and crazy and rednecking on each other.
At first, it's like you want to see it, because it's what everybody else is talking about. But then after you watch a little bit, you're like, I don't want to keep looking at this train wreck.
I'm done.
I feel like
the train wreck it just keeps rolling, and like the bodies keep flying out, and you just see all these terrible things keep happening. You're like, I'm good.
These brain cells could be used for something else.
Yeah, we could be you could be watching Breaking Bad for the first time because you haven't watched that.
You're so all about me watching Breaking Bad.
I'm gonna say you were the one who brought it up. You said, oh, I think I want to watch Breaking Bad, and I was just like. Eventually, no. I'm of the opinion you should really just watch it one episode at a time. Watch it. That's not a show that you want to binge watch.
Like I binge watched
Game of Thrones. Yeah. So like that. Yeah, you binge watched Game of Thrones at a very bad time when we didn't know that this little dude was in your belly. But now that he's out of your belly, I think you can comfortably watch one episode of Breaking Bad at a time.
Okay.
Like I'm actually not even sure if I should even rewatch it. If I should just you should just watch it on your own. But
okay.
I kind of do because there's all kinds of cool stuff that happens. But then I kind of don't because
you're gonna go.
I don't want to.
And then you're gonna give it away.
I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna try not to.
Oh,
but the way I've already described Breaking Bad is this delicious poison. You're like, this is so good, but you can only take so much at a time. You're like, oh God, this is so good, but I can only eat so much darkness at once.
Ooh, it's like Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Oh, it's so dark. It's so dark.
Ben & Jerry should make an ice cream called Breaking
Bad.
Breaking Bad.
They should call it Blue Heaven or something or whatever, like Blue Sky.
I should have like chicken waffle.
It should be blue because the meth is blue.
Yeah. Ooh.
Because his meth, however they make the meth, like this is not a big spoiler. However the way old Walter White makes the meth, it's not white like it normally is.
Right.
And however how he makes it, it comes out blue. Oh, Darren Fong, he still hasn't watched Breaking Bad either.
Oh, okay, good. I'm not the only one then.
Yeah, there's lots of people who haven't watched Breaking Bad. It seems like a phenomenon. Every single person watched it, but not everyone has watched Mad Men. Not everyone has watched a lot of these seminal shows that are amazing. Hey, there's only you can only consume so much media, but.
And some people don't want to watch mainstream. Like some people are like, no, everybody else is watching it, so I'm not gonna watch it.
Although, ironically, when Breaking Bad started, that was totally not mainstream. It was like this weird show. I remember seeing trailers for that. It was like so weird. I'm like, what the hell is this weird show? Why is the dad from Malcolm in the Middle in a freaking RV in his underwear? It seemed like such a weird show. Like I'd see trailers for it and like other things. Because that was like one of the first. I dare say that was one of the first original series from AMC.
Shake
weight, right there. Our little boy is feeding right now. As long as it isn't Vanilla Skies, no. As long as it's not Vanilla Skies, yes.
What's Vanilla Skies?
I don't know. The Tom Cruise movie. I don't know. That's the only reference I know to Vanilla Skies, unless there's some other reference that.
That sounds like another Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Vanilla Skies.
Vanilla Skies. So you have like.
I'm just gonna say Ben & Jerry's because I'm so hungry.
You're so hungry, yes. I brought you ice cream, lady. So normally I would recommend things, but I don't recommend Tiger King. If you want to maintain your sanity, unless there is a morbid curiosity to it. I think that's since everyone's stuck at home, people are watching the hell out of this thing. But I do not recommend it unless you really want to see how people in the South, the Midwest and the South live, and you're like, wow. Like the thing that really bothered me, like how much people spend to go to these tiger play. Like they showed like how much money they make.
They're saying how much money they It costs to
Also,
feed
yeah,
all of them?
that's crazy.
That's so expensive.
And then
That's
how
so much
like
money.
that Joe Exotic dude, he takes like Walmart rejected food, and then he uses that, and then like he feeds them for like on the cheap, and it's like these poor animals are like he's abusing the animals,
Yeah.
like real talk, like
Yeah.
as much as like he
It's
tries to
for
make
a
himself the
spectacle.
hero of this whole story, yeah. And it's funny, like it was during one of the episodes I realized, oh, this isn't the first time I've seen this crazy person. Because like, he ran for president back in 2016, and I saw him on an episode of Last Week Tonight where they showed him because he was the gun-toting, redneck, gay, exotic animal owner.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, that's a weird dude. And it turned, oh no, I honestly thought it was something that the Last Week Tonight had manufactured for laughs. But no, clearly it's a real person who is a bad person.
He's a real boy.
He's a real person. Oh, my son is awake. Hello, little man. We're on the air right now. Don't give me that furrowed brow, little dude. We're on the air. So, Tiger King, don't watch it. I mean, unless you have morbid curiosity. I mean, I don't recommend it. I can't give it a positive recommendation. My son is mad dogging me right now. I love you, boy. But what I do want to recommend, if you enjoy professional wrestling, so this past weekend, I've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. You know, WWE has been they've been trying to do their thing in the midst of this entire quarantine of coronavirus. So this past weekend was WrestleMania 36. It was supposed to be in Tampa Bay, not happening. They did it in their warehouse / performance center down in Orlando, Florida. They taped it over the week, and thankfully it wasn't spoiled. There was no spoiler, so as you watched it, you got to find out what happened. Everyone assumed that it was going to be a train wreck, a shit show. It wasn't going to be good. It's because it's weird watching like this show. Like normally WrestleMania is in a stadium with like 50 to 60,000 fans. But this one was in a warehouse with no fans. Everyone was just watching at home. And so they had to get creative. And as Kiet just said in the comments, the Firefly Funhouse. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. That was the highlight of the show for me, personally. Spoilers. So they put everything in the can throughout the week. And so on night one, the wrestling was kind of honest. It's whatever, because wrestlers trying to wrestle with no crowd. It's weird. It's just it's. I can't think of an analogy that would describe how awkward it seems. Like wrestling without a crowd. It's like trying to play a gig with no instruments. There's something missing. The energy of the crowd is what helps make wrestling the spectacle that it is. Hearing those reactions. I, as a part of a live crowd by myself and Kiet and several friends, we've gone to New Japan shows, and the energy, like that's what helps make the show more entertaining. So without fans, they were forced to get very creative. So each of the nights, they had matches that seemed more like films rather than actual professional wrestling. So the first night on Saturday, they had a boneyard match. Now, if any of you are fans of professional wrestling, if you watched a show called Doing a Play for Nobody, yes, so there you go. That's another great. If you're doing a performance with no audience, if you're doing a play for no one in the audience to react to, that's the literal equivalent of what's happening. So if you ever watched Lucha Underground, or if you ever caught that when the brief time was on Netflix, that was a very cinematic, kind of like a live action comic book wrestling show. So WWE obviously took a page from this, and then many people are giving credit to the other wrestler, Matt Hardy, who did these very cinematic type vignettes over when he was at Impact Wrestling, which emphasized entertainment over the actual wrestling or sport. So they did this. They put Undertaker and AJ Styles in this boneyard match where they literally had kind of like an action / horror movie for about 15-20 minutes. And for like a guy like Undertaker, who's very old, as my wife calls him, he's Kelsey Grammer. He looks like Kelsey Grammer in my wife's eyes, and now I can't unsee it anytime. Even though he was American Badass Undertaker in this last one, I still couldn't unsee that. But still, they had a entertaining little film where druids came out and Taker beat them all off as if he was John Wick. The Druids' bodies just disappeared into dust. And AJ throws Undertaker into the grave, and he's about to shove all the dirt onto him, and then magically Undertaker teleports from the grave to right behind friggin' AJ, and then a flurry of memes were created. Oh, thank you. It took him 8 hours to make this. I can see it, considering how the stunts and the idiocy that were going on in this. The memes of Undertaker being behind AJ. I think my favorite one is like when her dad walks in, when your ball's deep inside his daughter. You just see like AJ like this and Taker right behind him. It was just visually it was ridiculous. It was just Lucha Underground. It had music. It had all the cues and tones like a Lucha Underground vignette. So it really worked. The internet was really happy with this Boneyard match. It was very different. A lot of wrestling comments. Oh, if they keep doing stuff like this, they can extend the career of all the old wrestlers, because they can literally, because a lot of times they say some of these matches are like smoke and mirrors. They can literally use smoke and mirrors to extend the life of these old wrestlers. The Undertaker can probably wrestle till he's 60 now if they keep doing, they wheel him out once or twice a year, and they do these productions. It's great. So the second night, so after watching this Boneyard match, I immediately told my friends, because me, Kiet, Lamar, our buddy JC, we were all in a Google Hangout, because normally all of us, we get together to watch WrestleMania. One play. I used to always host at my old apartment. Last year we went to Kiet's restaurant. But obviously with this whole situation, we can't get together. So we did it via Google Hangouts. And I was saying during the Google Hangout, like after that Undertaker AJ match, I'm like, I wanted to see what they're going to do with Bray and Cena, because Bray Wyatt and John Cena were going to do something similar the next day. They're going to have a Firefly Funhouse match. I'm like, oh, I am all in for this. I want to see this. I went from not caring about really what was happening this weekend with WrestleMania to like, oh, this is some crazy ass shit. I want to see this. So the next day I fired it up, WrestleMania Day 2, because they had it over 2 days. And I was just sitting there waiting. I'm like, give me Cena versus Bray. Cena, Bray. And they finally got to this Firefly Funhouse match. And it was everything I wanted and everything I didn't know I wanted. It was all just a psycho, crazy fever dream of just memes and references. I think there's a lot of people who didn't like it on the internet. And you know what? Fuck them. The whole match was literally, if you've been paying attention to WWE for like the last 7 to 10 years, this was your reward. Like, all right, this is like, because normally wrestling doesn't reward continuity. If you watch Marvel movies, you get rewarded sometimes for continuity. Like, all right, there'll be references and you'll catch things. There's like Easter eggs or like this rewards for continuity. Sometimes it happens in TV shows. Sometimes it happens like we were just talking about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad was always really good about rewarding continuity. If you've been paying attention, if you've been following along, there are plot rewards. We're like, oh, you kept track of all this? Guess what? Boom, here's the payoff. Oh, all right, awesome. You feel good because you saw the outline of everything happening, and you're like, oh, this is great. Oh, what a freaking awesome freaking payoff to such a cool thing. And that's what this John Cena Bray Wyatt match was, because it was like 6 years ago. I totally forgot it was like 6 years that they had faced each other at WrestleMania when Bray was doing very well, but then they had LOL Cena wins, because John Cena used to always win. He very rarely lost. And so the premise of this match was, or the premise of this character that Bray Wyatt is playing right now is like he's out getting revenge to everyone who has wronged him in the last 5-6 years. And he's been doing it systematically. Each person who has somehow ruined him and messed up his brain and forced him to become this crazy fiend character. And this was like the ultimate comeuppance, where like he got to face John Cena, because John Cena is the one who killed his momentum, so to speak. And this thing, I don't know if they're going to put it on YouTube. I hope it's on YouTube. I know there's clips of it on Twitter, but if you've watched any wrestling in the last like 5 to 10 years, go watch this. It's insane. even if you haven't watched wrestling, it's just gonna be so weird. Because of course, like so, the match starts. Cena gets teleported into Bray's Firefly Funhouse. If you don't know, it's like now Bray Wyatt's character, now he plays this kind of like Mr. Rogers character, and he has all these puppets, and they all represent different aspects of his career. Where like there's a fat pig from when he was overweight and he was Husky Harris. There's a buzzard that represents his first Bray Wyatt. There's a rambling rabbit from when he talks too much. There's Sister Abigail when he used to obsess over this mythical sister they used to have. And they're all different puppets, and they all represent different parts of his personality. And of course, there's the Fiend. So Cena gets teleported to this Mr. Rogers room, and he goes into the void. And suddenly, he is transformed into the rookie John Cena. And they're recreating the first time John Cena came out. And so current day, old man Cena is dressed up like his rookie self. He's wearing his short shorts, not his jorts, but he's wearing little tights and his boots and his elbow pads, and he comes out and he's all piss and vinegar, like ruthless aggression. And the whole time, Bray Wyatt's just making fun of him. And there's just all these like little inside jokes, like they even make a reference to like his previous fiance, and I laughed so damn hard. And I was like, oh man, they're just going in. I'm like, John Cena is the best team player I have ever seen. The number of jokes they laid in on him throughout this thing, wow, like I have like so much more respect for John Cena after this match, just because he's so okay with getting made fun of. Like even some of the really personal stuff, they just jumped in on him. And so like he's playing himself, and then it like changes again. And they go into like this Saturday Night's main event, so it jumps to the 80s. And then Cena is, and so Bray Wyatt's playing some crazy interview, or he's playing a crazy 80s wrestler, and he brings in John, and John's playing along. He's playing another character. He's doing this weird homage to Hulk Hogan, and he's like, Johnny Large Meat, and that's just a fucking joke in and of itself. And he cuts through all the cliches. He does all the typical 80s cliches that like Hogan would use, one after another. He's just firing them all out. It is just like this parody of 80s wrestling. And he just starts, he's pumping out, and he's like losing his shit. And then he wants to punch Bray Wyatt, and he's like, oh, he pumped too much, he can't use his arms. Yeah, he's just too funny. It's just like, they even busted out like the original freaking Saturday Night's Main Event music, which I didn't realize was an actual fucking Animotion obsession by Animotion. I was like, oh shit, that's fucking cool. And then it changes again, and then he's rapping John Cena like back when he was cool in 2004, when Cena used to wear throwback jerseys and just rap about everyone's testicles. And he's like laying into Bray with rhymes, like that's him fighting back in this mystical match, and it's just comedy. It's like, I have not been this entertained by WWE in a very long time. It's been so long since I've been entertained by anything they've done. The immense joy I got out of this, well, I can't even measure. I was still laughing about it today at work. I tweeted out about it. I was like, I'm still laughing. You can look, but you can't touch. I was just laughing to myself at work. And my boss was like, what's so funny? I'm like, I can't even explain it to you. What is so funny? It's just, it's an inside joke. If you've been a wrestling fan for a long time, this whole match was the greatest inside joke that they've ever done. I can't believe Vince allowed this to happen. There was a puppet Vince in the whole thing. And then, because a lot of wrestling journalists always make fun of the fact that, or you go on podcasts, you hear like bitter ex-WWE wrestlers, whenever Vince is trying to sell them a really bad idea, Vince would always say, "This is such good shit, pal." And then the Vince puppet says this, like there's a part where like the whole thing changes from Dr. Thumb and so it jumps to WCW Nitro. And I'm like, what? Why Nitro? Like, John Cena was never part of that. And I guess it's just I guess this is like an inside reference. It's like, oh, John Cena's never been a bad guy. He never turned bad. And so, they show him coming out to the NWO music. Oh, it's a reference. Oh, when Hulk Hogan, the first time he turned bad, he was NWO. So I guess that was some sort of like weird inside reference. You see John Cena come out with an NWO shirt. He has the NWO belt. He starts playing the guitar on the belt, just like Hulk Hogan did when he was a bad guy. So that was another inside reference in and of itself. And it's just all this comedy. And then you had Vince McMahon, the puppet, on commentary. And then as Kiet just pointed out, the buzzard puppet was dressed up as the Macho Man, because that used to be the commentary team back in the 90s. It was Vince McMahon and Macho Man. And then the Vince puppet goes, "This is such good shit, pal." And I did a full belly laugh when that happened. I was just dead. Inside joke, fun. I mean, to a normal person, it's like, what's so funny? It's just the Vince puppet going, "That's such good shit." And I was gone. I was like, nope, my entertainment level has been exceeded. My head has blown off the top. And then they finally got around to the end of the match, and it was over, and the Fiend comes out and he makes John Cena disappear. That was the end of the match. And then they cut to this one wrestler who was hosting the show, and he's just standing there, and he just puts his hand on his head like, "I don't know what just happened." And they cut to black. Perfect ending. In my opinion, an amazing 15 minutes of just chaos. But my buddy Chris at work, he's like, it was just a crazy acid trip. I'm like, yes. And that's exactly what it should have been. It perfectly fit the character that Bray Wyatt is playing. The way Cena ruined his life, and then he ruined Cena's life, and he forced Cena to confront his own demons, and it was just like a crazy comic book. Like I said, with the Lucha Underground vignettes, those were anime, kind of graphic novels brought to life. That's what this was. This was a crazy graphic novel brought to life, and for a crazy hardcore wrestling fan, it was everything you could have ever wanted. It's like, I saw the reactions on Twitter. I've been like, it's half people love it, best thing I've seen, and then the other half this was so dumb. This is the dumb. What was the point of all this? It's like, then if you didn't get it, it wasn't for you. Then if you can't take the jokes, John Cena clearly can take a bunch of jokes, and he contributed. I guess they revealed that obviously Bray Wyatt wrote most of this. One of the producers, that old man with the podcast, whatever his name is, Bruce Pritchard, helped produce it, and then John Cena obviously had his input. Obviously, they went to John's like, "Hey, is it okay if we make fun of the fact of your fiance during this match? Is it okay if we make fun of this? Is it okay if we poke fun at this?" And I'm sure John was like, "Hell yeah, it's gonna make it better." People were comparing it to the Southpaw regional wrestling that they did, where John Cena participated in that as the Lance Catamaran, crazy commentator who loses his mind back because he was no longer back in Utica doing the news. Just I did not expect that this WrestleMania. I thought this WrestleMania was going to be a giant waste of time, but that Firefly Funhouse, I can't reiterate how much fun that was. It just, I wanted to just stop and rewatch it again, but obviously busy with the baby. And, Kyle Jackson, congratulations on your baby, sir. Welcome to the club. Good luck. Grab a helmet. Put on your seatbelt. It's going to be a ride, my friend. It's just, I can't recommend. Don't watch Tiger King. Watch WrestleMania 36. If you've watched wrestling at all, watch the Firefly Funhouse. Find it some way. I was messaging my buddies last night who were like, I don't know, one of my wrestling buddies, he used to always resubscribe to the network right before Mania, and this year he decided not to. And I was gonna tell him, I'm gonna send you my password. Just go watch just this match. Johnny Large Meat. So ridiculous. I think Xavier Woods was like, "Oh no, if John Cena ever comes on Up Up Down Down, his Up Up Down Down name is going to be Johnny Large Meat now." It's just because they all have alter egos when they go on that video game show. And so if Cena ever shows up, he's stuck with that. He's gonna have to be Johnny Large Meat. Hey, did you find that funny, little tiger? Mm-hmm. My son, I think sometimes he thinks my face is funny, and he's incredibly amused by that. See. Kyle, that's what you have to look forward to. You just be yourself around your little boy, and then you'll be rewarded with a cute little smile. You might have to wait till about week 7 or week 8, but it'll happen sooner than you think. Because we always got to do the dad portion of the podcast. I can't go through this podcast now without doing some dad stuff now. Especially with I got my son staring at me right now while I'm performing the show. WrestleMania 36, yeah. Just even if you're not a wrestling fan, yeah. I think it was just like I think everyone's expectations were so low, and then they did all this crazy those two crazy movie vignettes, the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse. So this may change the face of professional wrestling. Maybe they're gonna do more cinematic things.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, my son is very amused when I do the Vince McMahon voice. He thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. Do you like the Vince McMahon? Well then, Tiger, you're fired. Although I'm not sure how much they'll be able to get away with. As long as they keep good old Vince McMahon away from getting involved with these things. As long as they just cut it on tape and then just send it to him, and he's like, "That's fine. I don't care." All these movies. I think the tweet I made yesterday is my favorite John Cena film role, and I loved him in that Trainwreck. I thought that was like his funniest role that he'd ever done. But this takes the cake. This is just a pure comedy. So for the end segment here today, I just have to talk about work again. People are still buying games. It keeps escalating. Like, I know I came on the show last week and we had 5,000 orders over the weekend. Today we had 7,500. Not that I'm complaining. I'm happy. That means, my job is incredibly secure as long as we're all stuck at home, apparently. My little boy just keeps smiling at me. My little boy, who apparently likes my Vince McMahon voice. What a maneuver! See, that's a funny word he used to always say when he didn't know what a move was. So we just call it a what a maneuver. But yeah, I hate to keep reiterating this, but I still don't understand why. Animal Crossing just came out for the Nintendo Switch, but for whatever reason, people are buying the old ones. We sold 225 copies of Animal Crossing for the Wii. I know there's 120 million Wiis out there that are apparently being dusted off and being used because people are stuck at home. They're digging up all their game consoles. All right, let's play some Just Dance. But I guess people who can't get a hold of Animal Crossing for Switch they're settling for the Wii version or the 3DS version. If we had the DS version, I'm sure we'd be like moving those at crazy prices. It's very odd. Ooh. But of course, people are going to be playing Resident Evil 3 that just came out this past weekend, and most people are going to be this coming weekend. If you're not already in Australia or somewhere in America where they're already selling it before it comes out. Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I read a review today of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it was the most long-winded explanation, which I think was kind of a meta joke for the game itself. Because this remake is taking what used to take 4 hours, and apparently they're dragging it out to 40. Which kind of makes me not want to play that. I already wasn't motivated to play this Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because when I played 7 once back in 1997, I'm good. I don't ever need to play that game ever again. And I guess the first 4 hours of this game, they've managed to flesh out this crazy world. And you only get one little chunk of that whole giant story. And so it's like, people are not sure, all right, is this all they're going to do? I mean, I know there's going to be theoretically more episodes, but if they took them like 5 years to make this episode, does that mean we're going to get episode 2 like in 2025 on the PlayStation 5, leading to PlayStation 6? I mean, who knows? The video games, complicated world. That's right, Tiger. It's complicated. When you become a little teenager, you'll probably have a PlayStation 6 or something, or who knows. But Daddy will break out the old Super Nintendo, and we're going to play some Super Mario Brothers, like I said last week. Is he doing what I think he's doing?
Commentary?
Is there some commentary from your tuba over there?
Mm-hmm.
Is butt tuba. I think on that note, I think it might be time to wrap things up because it looks like my son may need me.
Rewrapping.
He needs to be rewrapped a little bit. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We're here every single Monday, even if I'm 10 minutes late because I'm coming home from a crazy day at work. I'm exhausted. I'm literally just running on fumes right now and off the energy of doing this for you guys here. We're here every Monday. You can always follow me on Twitter at DreGP Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at DreGP Podcast. You can follow me on Facebook if you're not already. Well, all those of you watching on Facebook right now, you guys are already there. But if you're listening to this or you're watching this by some other means, at DreGP Podcast on Facebook, well, to find our fan page. You can always find our videos on YouTube. Just search for Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to get yourself a handmade mask from my wife, and as she was declaring to me, every mask she sells from here on out, for every mask she sells, she'll be donating another mask. She's making 2 masks. Like she sells one, she donates one to our local healthcare facilities. So if you need a mask for yourself with this whole COVID-19, CDC says wear a mask, Etsy.com/shop/LeMeowClub. And you can get yourself a mask. My wife is cranking them out. Look at that smile on my son's face. Oh my, they're popular. Go Rosa. That's right, Daniel. They are popular. I think various styles have already sold out. So if you
New fabrics are on my Instagram.
She has new fabrics listed on her Instagram.
Story.
Rosa.limon.Los Angeles. Did I get that right?
Yep. Story.
So check out her story on Instagram if you want to see what new fabrics she has. Just Let Me Out Club. Etsy. Go. Buy things if you need a mask to cover your face. Like, see, this is the mask she made me. It has whales on it. Yeah,
custom art ones when I get the fabric in.
And then once she gets the fabric in, she gets a specific fabric. She can do custom ones if you. I know one of my coworkers. He was saying he wants the Joker smile, like the Dark Knight. He wants the Joker.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't just draw that in with a red marker. We don't need no fancy freaking. Don't need no fancy printer paper. We just get a red marker and be like,
After this whole thing is over. I feel like people are going to save their masks.
Just in case there's another pandemic.
So if they're going to want to forever.
You know what's crazy? I've been seeing all these images of like, 1912? There was the big, the Spanish flu, was it? And how like it was required back then. It's like if you didn't wear a mask, you had to go to jail. You got sent to jail. So it's like it just we've cycled over. 108 years later. It's history repeats itself. But I guess the word probably doesn't spread as fast. Back then it was just old newspapers and the Pony Express. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back here next Monday. Be sure to check out our YouTube. I filmed some quarantine versions of our Dre's Retro Game Minute. Those will be posted up soon, hopefully. Sooner rather than later. I'll probably post one up tomorrow. I can't do my work anymore. We're just too damn busy, so I have to do them from home. So, thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. Good night.